Hey guys, welcome back. It's the next day and I just got done putting the video up that was I guess part one of the bike. And I last night ordered a new throttle cable for it because that one shot. It was like 12 bucks delivered off of eBay. And carbs, if I get the stock carburetor, which is a 12 millimeter Bing carburetor, they are cheap. The knockoffs are like 21 bucks delivered, no problem. But I want to go to the higher performance one, and a stock one would have been a Bing 14. But it seems like they're quite pricey. They're like $100 around there. You probably could find a better, probably 50, 60 bucks. But it looks like, I think it's Delardo makes a 15 millimeter carburetor that can go almost a direct fit on there, probably except for the air cleaner. And I'm probably going to go with them, and I think they're around 25 bucks. I think a couple of you guys wrote and put a link onto those carburetors. So I think that's probably the way we're going to go. And again, I have not quite ordered that yet, but we got enough to work with right now and enough to do. The throttle cable will be, I think, another 3 or 4 days, and I think once I order the carb, it'll probably be about the same thing. But we got stuff to work on. And what we have to work on is, all the incidentals that are attached to it, and probably the next thing we're going to go look into is that fuel tank. And unfortunately, the fuel tank is part of the frame, so I know it's really cruddy, but we may not have much of an issue, much of a choice. It's part of the frame. And unfortunately, with a regular gas tank, you fill it with acid and you squish it around, you roll it all different directions, and you empty it out and you rinse it out, and you can kind of coat it. Well, it's a little harder to do when it's on the bike. And so I figured what we're going to do is we'll take the cap off, we'll take the petcock out of it, we'll look in from the bottom, see what kind of crap we get out of it, see what kind of shape it's in. I do have it like a cheap bore scope. Maybe we'll take a peek down inside and see what it looks like, and what we have to work with. And also, that sticker right there is the one would have said what the horsepower was, but it got so faded that you can't read it anymore, or somebody peeled it off and kind of ripped it off, and that's just the underlayment of it. I'm not sure. I wish that would kind of come through. But we're going to make it the higher horsepower regardless with the new carb setup, and then we'll probably have to look into that muffler. I'm sure there's probably a restrictor on there somewhere. So far so good. Let's get into it. Alright, let's go in. I just got the light kind of shoved in there right now. You guys can kind of see. It's not looking all that good. I see big old flaky sections of rust kind of coming off the top. Let's see if we can put a bend on that. And make the turn. Doctor's orders. See if you can see anything. How's that for a review? Bear with me. I think the fact that it's so cold in here is making it so that it's foggy in there. I don't know what you guys can see or not, but it's not looking good. So I think we're gonna have to go with the acid. Fill it up with acid and let it eat the rust, and then kind of drain it out, and then after we drain it out, neutralize it. I don't know about coating it. That might be a bit difficult, but we'll take that one step at a time. Let's try it with the acid first, and make sure that we don't even have a hole already right through the tin somewhere underneath here that we're not seeing. So let me get the pet out of it. I already cut the rest of the shattered fuel line off of it, and I got a wrench on it. Maybe I already cracked it loose with the wrench, but I figure I'd turn the camera on for the money shot, see what we get coming out of it. That looks like it broke the stem off. I would think that would have a stem that kind of went up and through it. Can't see, it's too dark. Yeah. I think that is supposed to come out with it. It's probably a filter. I see goo coming around it too. Now she's pissing. That'll be that, there it goes. That'll be that 22-year-old gas coming out of there. Sucker's long, ain't it? Holy crap. It's like growing a tail. So, yeah, we weren't going to be saving that, I guess. So I think we got the one good thing I'll say about that is it's still holding the fluid. There's a bunch in there. It may have actually kind of saved the tank because they kept it from drying out and maybe having a lot of crud but not rust. So we'll let that do its thing as the dam breaks. And we'll see how much comes out of there. Forget the pan was empty when we started. I'll let that run for a while and I'll turn you back on when we find out how much goo we got. Definitely the not the best colored fuel I've seen. Looks a little more like oil. So I figured I'd screw around with that pet a little bit and see if we can get this thing to be a functioning part of society again. Kind of turns. The inside of it, though, I'm not sure what's showing up. That's where the fuel is going through, and it looks like that pretty much looks like tar instead of fuel. Oh, maybe I should try go and put it in the parts washer. I'll try blowing it air through it one more time, and maybe a drill bit. Yeah, maybe we won't do that. Let's go get ourselves a little drill bit. Use that to be a boring tool. It's all the way in that way. I know the brass is broken off on this, so yeah, definitely going in a weird angle too, huh? Usually you could take the end of it apart. Oh, maybe can I unthread that? Maybe this will unthread out of there. And then maybe that black plastic cap can come off and you could gain more access to the internals of it. Oh, there we go, we got a nut. That'll work out good. Alright, so let me trade places. put this in the vise instead of you, and then we'll take that apart. Shall we? Damn it. And there's the little path it's supposed to be able to take for the fuel. See, that's just nothing but I don't think much gas is going to go through that. That help hurt. Now that should be like that. I think it's supposed to be like a piece like a Bakelite plastic with a path, different paths for the fuel to take. I'm not sure if that's fuel coming out of there or if that's just the gasket just absolutely falling apart. I have a feeling that, yeah, it's just whatever's left of that gasket just turned into mud. We're not saving that. I'm not too concerned about having a reserve working, and I think what it was, that brass tube that went in there was probably the reserve. It probably went to a, I wonder if it went in and kind of curled up and it picked up a little higher in the fuel tank. I'm not sure with this this type of setup. I think right where those, see where those two little tits are there? I think there's springs inside there, and the fuel is supposed to travel through those passages. Jam the drill bit in there, pull them out. Nothing but straight caca. That one went all the way through. So that's supposed to go through that half moon that we just saw, wherever I did with it. Supposed to go travel through that half moon, then exit back out of that one with a gasket in there. But that gasket, as we well know, already went to crap. I'm going to see if I have another pet. I thought I had one when I did the that bike build. I may have an extra one, so we'll go use that. Doctor's orders. It feels like I'm just digging in a mud pool in the bottom there. Yeah, it just feels like it's nothing but sludge. So, shall we? Put up with the gas cap. I think it's gonna need an acid trip. So I put a cork where the petcock was, but I don't know if acid will eat cork. I figure before I fill it up and have an issue on my hands, let's give a little, watch it explode. Let that puppy soak for a little bit and see if it deteriorates it or not. Actually, should probably go up and get another jug, because my thing of acid is probably only about a half gallon, and I need to be able to fill that tank all the way up. So I'm gonna go look in the book and see what the volume of the fuel tank is, and then we'll see if we have enough or not. It's eating something right there, isn't it? Probably a little piece of rust. Stuff loves rust. Off, I say. Loves our help. So the acid doesn't appear to be eating the cork, which is a good thing. But the only problem was the jug of stuff that I had that I've been using over and over again is only about half full. The fuel capacity of this is 0.83 gallons, just shy of a gallon. And I want to be able to top it all the way up to the filler neck as close as possible to try to eat as much of the rust as possible. So I ended up going to Home Depot and grabbed I think a muriatic acid. Pretty much any of them work. And I figure we'll go put that in there instead. And it's clean. The other one, I've probably done 10 gas tanks, 15 gas tanks with that gallon of stuff that I had. And it's not terribly expensive. This stuff is like $8 a gallon. So, hopefully, we do not make a mess. Do not spill, because it will definitely take the paint off. I want to try to maintain the finish with this as much as possible. Now the hard part is going to be cleaning this stuff out of here afterwards. You got to neutralize it with water, but I plan on letting this soak probably overnight. That's about half a jug, but you get the idea. I want to take my time doing this so I don't overflow it. So I got that pretty much topped right off. I don't know if you can see it. It's right level with the bottom of the cap right there. I don't want going higher, but it's like right to there. So I elevated the bike so we can get as much in there as possible. That should kind of take care of it. Hopefully our cork, or we don't spring a leak over the course of the nighttime and everything just turns into a big acidy, nasty mess. But if so, I have a catch pan down underneath it to get what we can, and then get it back out of there, and we'll dump it back into the jug, and it'll be good for another setup. So that's it, I think, for tonight. I don't want to mess with it anymore, especially with that being inside there. And this video will continue, but I'm going to stop for tonight. I got some shopping to do. You guys will see that on another video too. So the next morning, it's probably been soaking, a good 10-12 hours. It doesn't show much in there, but it should be pretty clean. Actually, you can kind of see by the neck right there. It's down to the metal. So I want to get that drained out of there. I want to let it sit in there too long. But apparently the tank should be good because it didn't rot through and have everything piss out the bottom. So I'm going to go set up, probably try to clamp a funnel onto that apparatus there and have it run back into the jug and get the sucker drained down. Let's see how well this works. I'm going to try grabbing that cork with a little piece of pliers. If I can't get it with that, I'll probably run a drill bit in the middle of it. But let's see what we got. I think I may have been a little overzealous running that sucker in there. So, plan B. Let's gotta have plan B. Plan B. And tinkle your acid all over you. you want to wash that off the drill, huh? Kind of looks like the fuel that came out of it. Alright. I still have the acid off the bench. I want to take these gloves off, throw them away. We'll just turn them inside out. We'll take a peek. Let's go take a peek in the top. Let's see what the tank is starting to look like. Yeah, it's got some sludge still sitting on the bottom. Might revisit that, but I have to go pick something up, so we'll let this tinkle its way out of there and let it do its thing. I just don't want to leave it sit there too long and have an issue where it blows out, come out here and there's just acid all over my bench and it's all melted to the floor kind of deal. So it's been a little bit. I drained the acid back out of the tank. I think it's soaked in there for overnight. And the idea was I was going to go take it to the local car wash and lay the machine on its side and get the pressure washer and hit it with the pressurized water all through it and try to blast off whatever was ever inside the tank. Well, that was all fun and good. Put the bike in the tank, the bike in the truck, went over there, and the car wash is shut down for repairs. And it looks like it's going to be shut down for a long time. They have all kinds of trailers and stuff around it. So that was not a viable option, and I have not found one that is local to go and do that yet. But I probably, that will probably be the finished result. So what I decided to do instead was I went and I grabbed a jug of vinegar and filled it back up with vinegar. I didn't want to leave it open with nothing in there because it's just going to rust all over again with that acid continuing on. I would have liked to have rinsed it out in between, but so be it. It is filled to the tippity top with the vinegar, and we'll just let that do its thing. And I don't think that's going to be anywhere near as strong where it will continue eating the metal and possibly causing damage. So we'll let that go for a while, maybe a day or two or whatnot, and let it soak, and then I'll turn the camera back on and we'll continue on. So it's been a couple of days since I put the last thing I put in the gas tank was vinegar, and I kind of went and let that soak in there. Vinegar is not, of course, as strong, anywhere near as strong as the acid is, but I figure I'd let it go do its thing, and we're going to get back to that in a little bit. But since then, a bunch of parts have come in, so we can kind of keep moving on with what we have. And new throttle cable, it was like 12 bucks. I actually grabbed 2 carburetors. This is a Delardo knockoff, and it is a 15 millimeter bore, and then there is a Bing knockoff. I believe it's a knockoff, yeah. And this is also a 15 millimeter ID. Kind of use a cork for example. So you see how far in that cork fits on that one, and then the factory one, it fits in that far. So that much larger of an intake will allow it to breathe that much better and hopefully get us into a better window of where this thing will perform. And I want to say that one was 17 bucks and this one was, I think it was 30. But we're going to try this one first, and I have other mopeds and stuff, so I kind of wanted to grab 2 carburetors so that I have something in stock. If we need to, we can kind of bounce back and forth and play with these. But it's not like that's going to waste. That'll go to other machines. And we have a speedometer cable so that it won't read 666 anymore on the old Speedo. A petcock. Let's see inside of that. Looks like. And that is your reserve. So on reserve you're tapping fuel from there, and then on run you're tapping fuel from up top, and then reserve you're drawing it from at this level. So it gives you about 2 inches of height of reserve fuel before you're stranded somewhere. And that wasn't terribly expensive neither. I want to say it was under 20 bucks. And all that stuff I went and I got on eBay, and it all came from Too Fast. I think all of them did. No, one of the carburetors did not, but everything else pretty much did. They all came in the same box, I would think so. So we can kind of move forward onto getting some other stuff done, and there's plenty to do. The bike still needs to be all kind of cleaned up and everything. So there's nothing saying we can't stop on that process. Oh, and also when we picked up the Cushman and the CT90s, Harvey had a old puch moped seat for a Magnum, which is that top tank style. But I think that may go on here, and they make a long seat for this, but it kind of floats off that post and comes back. We can kind of fabricate from there. But as you can see, this seat is definitely got some issues to it, so we can kind of clean that up by just changing that right out. So let me go figure out what we're gonna go do, and I'll turn the camera back on. So I kind of want to rotor-roo to the gas tank a little bit, because you can't get in there and kind of shake it all about. I want to take something to feed it down in there and let it kind of whisk all the debris that's around it. And what I have is this is a clutch cable from for a VW Beetle that's already got the end cut off on it, but it's stranded and poking in the eye. See how it's got strands to it? So I'm going to try to knock off about, go with probably about that much. We can stick it in a drill, and I want to open up the end of it. See if we can kind of fray open one side of it. You can bash it with a hammer, so that's the little bristles and whatnot kind of fan out a little bit. So let me go set that up and we'll see how we make out. I said shut off, I said. And what we got now is drilling a little haggard end on there. Let's see how that makes out. Kind of undoing itself a little bit. That's actually kind of good. What if I go the other way? Get the idea? So I'm going to go do that for about 10 or 15 minutes and see if we can kind of shake up the internals a little bit. So I think we should hook our new throttle cable up to the new carburetor. And get that so we can install that and have it. We'll do a test again. We'll put a fuel line on it and we'll see how it responds. Shit shoots everywhere, right? Yeah. Okay, so we have to feed that cable through all that stuff. and that. And I believe stock is 2 ring. There's a this needle, when you give it gas, the needle and slide lift up out of the carburetor. They lift up down in the center. Down there. That's where the fuel's coming through. You see a little piece of brass. So as this pin comes up, it allows more air to come through the center, and then it allows more fuel to come through the center of that pin around there. That's where the fuel gets drawn in. So if you take this pin and put it on different rings, see the different, I don't know if that's showing up, probably trying to focus on the paper in the back, but if you can see how it has different rings on there, if not, just trust me. You can set the level of that so that this pin is higher or lower during different parts of the throttle. So it allows either more or less fuel to get in there. So if the bike's running lean, you want to have the pin go up further. If it's running too rich, you drop the pin down further so you get less fuel. So that's how you're able to tweak it. You're also able to tweak it by changing the main jet that's in the bottom of it, the orifice or the hole when the bowl's off. Might as well look at it too over there. That guy right there, there's a little pinhole in it. Well, that's predetermined size, and that meters how much fuel is able to draw up through the center of it too. And by changing that, you can change how rich or lean it runs also. So kind of figure like this is like a fine adjustment. This is more of a rough adjustment. All right, enough of that. Let's go put a carburetor together. So I'm gonna put that bowl back on there just so I don't drop anything out of it. And one thing I had different with this carburetor was the little tip on the end there. You see how that doesn't come out? The original carburetor had that throttle cable rather had that guy on there, and I don't know if that is going to be able to feed all the way through. Yeah. So I'm not going to be able to put that on there. So we're going to go with this adjustment, this adjuster, instead of this adjuster that had a nice bend on it, kind of got you out of harm's way. So we want that. We want. That one's already got one in it too. That's probably going to have to come out. Put that one in there. And the threads don't match. Murphy's Law. Stinking made in China junk. Yeah, that and that are not the same. Which ones are? The other part too is I don't know how much room on this throttle cable is going to be correct for leaving what's left over behind. I can't go buy the old one. Yeah. Let me contemplate. I need to contemplate. Alright, stop shaking. I have a plan. So I believe we can use that guy. We unthread that. That might be able to feed through there. There we go. Nope. Nope. Thought I had it. Nothing grinder couldn't fix. Alright, so we get rid of that. That guy should be able to go on, hopefully. Alright, that. Should be able to feed through. I think we're back to factory. Okay, I'm gonna start. There. Okay. Good. Now we got to go and make sure we got all our little bits and pieces on before we put it together. The gasket's got to go in. Our spring. And then this is the fun part. We got to get these guys to stack right. And then what it has down in the carburetor, down in the center here, you see on the bottom there where it looks like a two different size holes. I'm talking about the left hand side. That's where the cable goes through, where the fat part of the hole is, and then shifts up and then pulls in and locks in. So it comes through. What if I just show it? So I'm not going to be able to show it when I'm trying to assemble all that. But anyway, the cable goes in through that hole, over, and then locks with all the springs and stuff locked into it. So I'm going to go take care of that because you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing anyhow, and all you're going to hear is a bunch of swearing. And through the magic of video, it looks something like that. So there's kind of like two washers. The cable goes down through and latches, like I said, two washers. The washers kind of hold the pin forward position. If you push on it, it's actually got some, you know, spring loadedness to it, but that just pretty much holds it in place. And you can take that apart, like I said, and change its location as it's needed, but for right now we're going to leave it right where it is. It's got to get tucked in. It's got to go back down. And this is your choke. I think it goes on that direction. And all that gets fed into the top of the carb. And the slide has a pin on it, channel for a pin so it doesn't rotate. And then down in the barrel on this side right here, halfway down, you can see there's a pin, so you gotta line those two up, or else it'll only drop in halfway. There it goes. You'll know because you'll see it. It's all the way down. Okay, get that choke in there. I'm not sure if it goes. I bet you it goes that way. I don't know. Ah, I missed the gasket. Forgot the gasket. You suck. I'm trying to do it so you guys can see. Come on, come on. But I know you can't. I got it all captured now, I think. And then the spring should fight me pretty good closing it up, because that spring tension is your return for the your throttle. Yeah, throttle rolls back on itself. That's what gives you that. Start, I said. Go ahead. I did forget one thing. See it on the bench? Little rubber boot. Let's switch hands. Okay. Now we should have a throttle that opens and closes. That can go together like that. Could leave those loose until we get it in the machine. And that end has to get connected to the throttle. And hopefully that stuff's good up there, because I haven't had any of that apart. But we're going to go find out right now. See if we can twist that old carb out of there. Guys are commenting on the last time that you're supposed to be able to do that. And I understand that, but I had a bunch of cables and stuff hooked to it. And I was afraid I wasn't going to clear. I can't twist it this way because the choke is hitting. Like right there. Just throw that one anywhere. And that guy up a little bit. Let's see if they feel like they're the same size. They do. That choke's gonna be a little bit of a pain in the ass to use. I wonder if I could change the top of the knob on it out. Maybe like that, because that's as close as I can go, and it's hitting. We'll work with it. So really, I should be able just to go and put a gas line up to it again, and we should be able to run it and see if we do not have a bog anymore. I do believe the stock air cleaner should fit. It will. Good. Yeah, hook a fuel line up to it and let's go play. I also got to take this cover back off. I set up to bring this to the car wash and pressure wash water through it. Of course, our car wash was closed, so that's why I put this cover back on. I didn't want to get a bunch of crap inside there, and that's why I had a cork in the back of the carburetor so we can kind of just douche the whole bike off at one time. But it didn't happen. So I think we're all set to go again. I have again the yellow fuel line filled with fuel. I think it's up to right there. The choke is on, and once I pull on the cable pretty far, it'll automatically pull the choke off. And what else we got? Idle speed we can adjust. The main goal we're trying to figure out is if when I go to rev this up, it doesn't die out like it did last time. Last time I was running too lean. I could have fixed that other carburetor, but this bike was set up with restriction in it, so I'm trying to get around that. So that's why I just went with a larger carburetor so we can get this thing to do, 30, 35 mile an hour instead of putting around at, say, 25. So, without further ado, hopefully she fires up. We're able to go. I betcha. I don't have the switch on. No spark. That would help. Yeah, I think the choke's there. Better. It didn't bog at all. So it actually sounds like it might be a little too rich. You can kind of hear it doesn't want to just quite scream all the way. Let me open the door. So again, the way around that is to take that pin that's in the center and drop that down a little further. I think I'm going to leave it alone. Hear the restriction the air cleaner caused? I think something says there's a restrictor built in. Exits the air cleaner. So we can crack that open. We'll look into there and see what's happening. Sucker looks like it's sealed together, doesn't it? So non-serviceable air cleaner. I don't know, see if that pulls apart. No, we have to might have to modify that, but again, you can see the difference between putting the air cleaner on and off. All right, let me go do something else. Well, that is a sealed air cleaner. You cannot get to the guts on the inside. The two pieces are glued together. So, I say we open it up. I gotta figure out how to do two cuts like that. You know, use a whiz wheel, it's gonna just melt the plastic. So I got a hole in it. As I'm trying to pull that apart, it started to come apart anyway. So I'm just a goof. And I guess that's supposed to be your air cleaner. Let's just say you can't see through that very well. So there's your problem. Now that the air box has a little bit of tweaking to it. We could seal that back up though. So let me take and blow this guy out with compressed air and see if we can get that. I have a feeling we're probably just going to end up putting an aftermarket air cleaner on it that performs correctly though. That thing is pretty restrictive. You can barely see through it. I'm going to try putting it in the parts washer. Hey guys, I'm wrapping up this video. The video is going to be in two parts because I just made it too long. It was in a little over an hour. YouTube, I guess, maxes out at an hour. So it'll be a part A and a part B. First part's 50 minutes long. Second part's going to be another 13 or 14 minutes long. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And also that YouTube is getting kind of screwed up. Let's go pick a video. Say we'll do the moped one, getting it running. And we'll go on comments. Usually I spend about an hour in the morning when I'm having coffee kind of like responding to your comments. And here's what's been happening. So I'll get the first column. This is usually what I use to go and respond to each one of you guys, and wherever it says reply down here, I click on that and I write you a reply. Well, I can go, each page I want to say probably has, say, like 30 comments on it, and it gets down to the bottom, and you go to click on show more. It doesn't do it. It just kind of stays right there. It does not allow me to access the other comments. I can't even look at all the comments, even if I just look at the video. I screened down so far, just like you guys are looking at the video. It doesn't even allow me to go back that far into the history. Kind of weird. So that's one problem that's going on. And then, like, if I go into spam, and spam normally had a box that you kind of click off on the side, see where it says the remove comments and the where you can flag it. Well, there used to be a box right here where you would check off and say, no, that comment's fine, go ahead and put it up, and then you would just click here and say approve. That has disappeared for some reason, and I don't know how you get them out of YouTube jail. Also, anything that has a link in it, see how, like, with the blue here, and it has the link for different things. If there's a link in a comment, I think it automatically puts it in YouTube jail to get out of there. So hopefully they correct that pretty soon, but I just want to give a heads up while certain stuff was not getting answered or not getting back to you. I didn't come across like a dick who was not responding back. So anyway, again, thanks guys, everything for the comments. I do get to read all the comments too as they come in. It's just going to, when I go to spend the time to respond, I just can't do that. So continue to make comments and thumbs up and all that kind of good stuff, and I'll catch you on the second half of this video.